Time to go. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Gavin and I know it's been a while since I've been able to upload some E36 M3 content, but the good news is there's some changes happening, things are settling down a little bit, and I'm gonna have a lot more time to be able to put out some more consistent content for you guys. With that said, in between uploads, I have been doing some things and I've been a little busy. And one of those things just so happens to be an M50 manifold swap. So, in today's upload, we're gonna be going over all of my thoughts after having this manifold swap done, getting it done, and driving it around. Just my thoughts and impressions with that. Now, before I did the manifold swap, like a lot of you guys who are wondering about it, I did a ton of research. And I found some things that after I did the manifold swap I was expecting, but there was a lot of things that I didn't know that I wasn't expecting, and I'm gonna tell you guys that stuff too. So today's video is just going to be a whole video based on all the questions that you might have and the unexpected things that happened with me when I did the swap. So we're gonna be driving this car pretty hard because that's what it's about. It's about swapping the M50 manifold for the driving experience. But before we can drive this car hard, we need to do a little bit of maintenance on the thing because we are gonna be driving it hard. One of those things is going to be swapping the old dining intake for this fresh new one. And the other thing is going to be changing the oil. I've already cleaned this thing one time before, but you can see why I wanted to change it. Look at how gnarly that old one was.
You're here to make a difference. Go on and make a change. Step into the rain, and I'm believing you, and someday we will meet again.
As with a lot of things in life, it always feels good to be out with the old and in with the new sometimes, doesn't it? Now that is much better. It barely fits. Baby steps. I seriously have too much fun with this thing. This is actually the first time that I've changed my oil in over a year. That means I have driven my car less than 3,000 miles in the last 12 months. Not only do I love living in Utah because we have all these great driving roads up all the canyons around here, but also when we're driving on those sweet mountain roads, we have a great view to look at. Just check out all the fall colors on these mountains around here. Woohoo! Now I think it's about time we get in the car. I don't know about you, but I swear that every time you change your oil and you have some fresh stuff in there, you can hear and feel a difference, and it just feels better. So like I mentioned before, what I'm hoping to make today's video is a comprehensive, all-inclusive video about the M50 manifold swap and everything that I found out and that I think that you should probably know before you decide to do it yourself. First things first, let's get the important things out of the way. Listen to that, man. Okay, so the number one question that I think that I saw surrounding the M50 manifold swap was about the torque loss. Is there a torque loss? Is it noticeable? Can you feel it? And how much is it actually going to make you lose? Something that I heard is that if you do the manifold swap and you have other mods to go along with it, like an intake and HFM, and then you get a tune along with it, that all that torque that you lose will be gained back. Now, I don't have a tune for the M50 manifold yet. This is still the tune for the normal S52 manifold, or the M52 manifold, whatever. Now, the reason I didn't get a tune for the M50 manifold yet was because I wanted to be able to drive it without a tune and then drive it with the tune and then give you guys an update on what I thought. Now, as far as feeling a torque loss after swapping the manifold, I definitely felt a torque loss. It's mostly around 2,000 and 3,000 RPMs. Once you get above 3,500 or so, you don't really feel that torque loss anymore. So to answer that question, yes, there is a slight torque loss. It's not massive, but I think you're gonna notice it if you don't get a tune. Now onto the second big question, which goes along with torque loss, and that is, does it make your car faster? Let's see. Oh my gosh. it definitely pulls a lot harder up top, way harder up top. Now this is one thing that I didn't expect, I'm gonna tell you about when I swapped the manifold, and maybe it goes along with the high RPM power gain, maybe it just has to do with the higher airflow or whatever, but something that I noticed after swapping the M50 manifold is when I used to drive at higher RPMs, even when I'm just driving around in traffic or whatnot, I'd always feel the engine kind of telling me that it's straining at the higher RPM, so I should shift. I always shifted around 2,500, 3,500 RPMs just driving around, and that's what felt good to do before. But now that I have the manifold on, the M50 manifold, I've noticed that the car is way happier at high RPMs. So if I'm driving on the freeway at high speeds, if I'm at 3,500, 4,000 RPMs, the engine feels comfortable. It feels happy to be at those higher RPMs. And along with that, when I'm driving around in the city and I'm speeding up, say, if I'm at 35, 45, even 5,000 RPMs, a lot of times I won't even notice that I'm that high because the car just isn't straining like it used to. It's a lot smoother. It almost feels like, you know, this is the way that the car should have come. It's the way that I've noticed it's happiest. You know, before with the power band, it felt really strong down low, and the higher you got in the RPMs, it kind of started to die off a little bit. But now the power just increases and increases and climbs all the way to the top. And along with that extra power, I've noticed that the car chirps and spins the tires a lot more, shifting from first to second than it used to. And I think that's a good thing. Oh my gosh. So yes, not only do I feel quite a substantial power increase, I also just feel like the engine is better with the M50 manifold with its drivability. Make sure there's no cops. Now onto the third big question that I seen when I was searching for M50 manifold information, and that is it easy to install? Now, I can't really answer that question for you personally because I decided not to install it myself and I had a shop do it for me. That's because I watched many YouTube videos of people installing the manifold themselves, and they said it turned out from what was supposed to be a 3 or 4 hour job into a 12-hour job. And although I know I could have done it because I've done more difficult installs before, I really just wasn't up for that at the time. But that being said, with all the videos that I've watched and all the write-ups I've read about doing M50 manifold swap, it certainly is doable on your own. Just expect it to be a real pain. I know when a lot of you guys found out that I was going to be doing an M50 manifold swap, you wanted me to do an install video, but there's plenty of good ones out there already. So if you want to see a good install video that I thought was pretty comprehensive, you can click this card right up here or check in the description down below for that. Now after the install was done, I talked to the guys at Dirty Euro Customs, where I always go to get my car worked on. They told me that yeah, it was kind of a pain. But of course, it's just a matter of going through the steps or troubleshooting if you end up having any vacuum leaks. Where it becomes difficult is there's so many hoses and things underneath the runners of the intake manifold that it's a really tight space, and there's just a lot underneath there that you need to keep track of and know how to put back together correctly. Okay, so somewhat going along with question number 3 is question number 4, and that has to do with how much is it going to cost for me to do this swap. I'm going to go along both spectrums, the cheapest way possible and maybe the way that I did it, which I feel like is kind of a middle ground. So if you're going to do things the cheapest way possible, meaning that you install it yourself and come up with your own hoses and stuff to link together the new vacuum lines and basically convert it from an OBD2 to an OBD1 manifold, you can find manifolds, used M50 manifolds online. I've seen anywhere between 60 and like 110 bucks. And then if you're gonna make the hoses and everything yourself when you swap the manifold, that's probably gonna cost you $10 or $15 on top of that. So you're looking at under 150 bucks. And for as much horsepower as you get for under 150 bucks, that is definitely one of the best power mods that you can do to an E36 when it comes for horsepower per dollar. So kind of on the middle end of the spectrum with what I did, so I bought the manifold for $70 from Dirty Euro Customs because they already had one in their shop that was in good condition. And then I went to M50manifold.com, courtesy of Uquin, or commonly known as Menace. Basically by his suggestion, I ended up going with their kit from M50 Manifold instead of the Turner kit. And that kit, I believe, cost me somewhere around $260. Now, even if you are going to tackle the install yourself, I still recommend buying a kit like this because it makes it so much more simple, so much easier, and not only that, they come with instructions, at least the one from M50Manifold.com, that are really comprehensive and are gonna help make that install a lot easier on you. And again, if you want a link to the exact kit that I bought, that'll be in the description as well. Oh, that left a bunch of smoke. Oh man. We got 70 bucks for the manifold and we have $260 for the kit, and that puts us to about 330 bucks. So if you're gonna do the install yourself, that's what it would cost, and I didn't do it myself. I recommend if you're gonna have a shop do it, take it to a German car specific shop. So it ended up costing me for the install from them $300. I did call a couple others just so I can get some comparable prices for you guys, and I found anywhere between 300 and 450 bucks. So that's what you can probably expect a shop to charge you if you have them install it. So with the manifold, the kit, and the shop installing it, it cost me 630 bucks. $630 when you talk about horsepower and drivability per dollar, 630 is still a really good price for what you get. That brings us now into the fifth one, and that is it worth it after all this is said and done? Now, I didn't want to do a video right away when I installed the M50 manifold because I wanted to have some time to drive the car around and get to know it, get to feel it out, so I can give you guys a better description on what I thought of if it is really worth it. The short answer is absolutely, but let me explain some more details. Here's why I think it's worth it. The mod is relatively simple besides the whole install part. All you're doing is swapping a manifold, and I think it's cool that it's still a BMW OEM part. I really love, and like I mentioned before, I didn't expect this, the drivability to be so much better and the engine just to feel so much more comfortable at higher PMs. I think that's really awesome. And now with the higher power up top, the car is just so much more fun to drive. I'm really looking forward to getting that specific tune for the M50 manifold from RK Tunes to see if I regain that torque that I feel like I've lost. If I can do that, man, there really is no downside at all to getting the M50 manifold. So after thinking about everything, there's really only one type of person that I would not recommend the M50 manifold swap for, and that is if you really only value low-end torque and you don't really ever wring the car out and drive it hard. Basically, if you use the car for a daily driver, I don't know why you'd buy an M3 to just drive boring. These cars want you to drive them hard. Man, hopefully you guys can tell just from the smile on my face how much fun I have driving this thing. Well, I hope that was a comprehensive enough video to answer all the questions that you might have if you're looking into doing the M50 manifold swap yourself. If I just so happen to miss some of your questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section below and I will answer them for you. As always, if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and whether you're new or not, make sure to hit the notification bell, otherwise you're not going to be seeing all the videos. If you guys did enjoy today's video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Holy shit! 596, 583.